Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So welcome everyone to our daily Gita classes. Today we are going to be discussing from chapter number 2, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, and we are going to be speaking from verse number 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so chapter number 2, text number 11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Vashocyan Anvasocasvam.
Ashocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Nanu sochanti pandita.
Nanu Sochanti Pandita.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Nanu sochanti pandita.
Nanu Sochanti Pandita.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Nanu sochanti pandita.
Nanu Sochanti Pandita. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Ashocyan Anvasocastvam.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Prajnavadasya bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Nanu Sochanti Panditah.
Nanu sochanti pandita. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamsya bhashase.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Nanu sochanti pandita.
Nanu sochanti pandita.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Nanu Sochanti Panditah.
Nanu sochanti pandita.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Asocyan Anvasocastvam.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Prajnavadamscha bhashase.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Gatasun agatasumcha.
Sochanti Panditah.
Nanu sochanti
Pandita.
Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead
The
said,
Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
Asocyan,
Asocyan,
not worthy of lamentation,
not worthy of lamentation.
Anvasocha,
Anvasocha,
you are lamenting.
lament, you lament.
Tvam,
Tam,
you.
you.
Prajnavadan,
Prajnavadan,
learned talks.
learned talks.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Bhashase,
Bhashase,
speaking.
speaking.
Gata,
Gata,
lost.
lost.
Asun,
Asun,
life.
life.
Agata,
Agata,
not past.
not past.
Asun,
Asun,
life.
life.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Na,
No,
never.
never.
Anusochanti,
Anusochanti,
lament.
lament.
Pandita,
Pandita.
the learned. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Supreme Personality of God has said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Please repeat after me. The Supreme Personality of God has said,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
while speaking learned words,
while speaking learned words,
you are mourning
you are mourning
for what is not worthy of grief.
for what is not worthy of grief.
Those who are wise
Those who are wise
lament neither
lament neither
for the living
for the living
nor for the dead.
nor for the dead.
Perfect. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, you are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any state of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. Om Jnanat Mirandasya Jnanat Shalakaya Chakshuranitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mahaprishtam Stapina Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mayam Dadati Swapadatnikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Leelamanto Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Tata Radha Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shrivanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asochan Asocastam Pragna Vadamscha Bhashase Gatasunagatasam Nanu Sochanti Pandita. So this is now a very, very important verse. This is now the verse that Krishna speaks seriously. Up until now, Krishna has spoken maybe 3 times. He spoken in the first chapter. He just told Arjuna that behold in front of you all the Kurus here, all the Kurus assembled here. So that is the first instance that Krishna spoke. The second instance he spoke was in 2.2 and 2.3. So what did he say in 2.2 and 2.3? He basically gave a bit of a refusal or a reproach to Arjuna. He says that where is all these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. And then he says in number 3, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastise of the enemy. So again, Krishna had already given his indication that he cannot believe that a person like Arjuna, a learned person, a person who is a leader in society, could speak such words, right? And immediately Arjuna refuted. It's like, how can you call me that? You're telling me to fight my worthy people. You are not known as Sandipani Muni, the killer of Sandipani Muni, or you're the killer of Ugrasen. You're not the killer of your grandfather. You're not the killer of your guru. But I will have to kill such respectable elders. You have killed demons. That is why your name is Madhusudana or Arisudana. Your name is not your devotee Sudana. Yeah, it's not a case like that. So Arjun thought he was very witty at this point, because this is at this point in the Gita, the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna is of an equal term in terms of friendship. But then Arjuna realized that, you know what, I cannot get out of this. I need to take a step back and basically understand what is really the right thing for me to do. And he's like, who is the best person to submit myself to? He looked around and he understood that there will be no one better to remove my doubts than Krishna himself. And so in 2.7, he says that now I am becoming your disciple. Please instruct me. Instruct me on what matter? On what is the right thing to do. Dharma. What is dharma? Yeah? And he's saying that at this point in 2.8, he says that I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So he has understood that his entire life trajectory in terms of career, in the sense that external achievements is not going to be able to remove the grief in his heart of killing his family members. He has understood that material achievement, no matter how great, it is going to be worthless. It's not going to be able to fill up the heart with happiness. And then the conversation zooms back to Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra, and Sanjaya is telling to Dhritarashtra that Arjuna has now sat down, but he is not sat down because he is given up. He is just sat down temporarily so that he can understand the knowledge that Krishna is going to give now. He is now temporarily sat down to re-evaluate his understanding, to re-evaluate the purpose as to why he has to fight, if at all if he has to fight. That Krishna will now describe. So Sanjaya knew the mindset of Dhritarashtra and says that don't think that Arjuna is going to leave the battlefield because he is weak. He reminded Dhritarashtra that Arjuna is still called Parantapa. He is the chastise of enemy. He still has the power in him to defeat the entire Kaurava army, as he had already done in the kingdom of Virat. Right? So this is what Sanjaya says. And now the conversation moves back to the Kurukshetra. Now Krishna starts speaking. So Krishna, he said 3 words here, one word 3 times. He said the word Sochyan, which is from the root word Shoka. So he says Asochyan, Anvasochas, so that's 1 and 2. And then he says Nanu Sochanti, number 3. 3 times he has used the word Shoka, right? Which means do not, like lamentation. Now this is what he is saying, that do not lament. There is nothing for you to lament about, right? So this verse, this is known as Krishna's first instructive verse. Okay, we said already a few verses before, but these are at different levels, in different context, in different relationship. But now this is the first verse he speaks after Arjuna has submitted himself as being the disciple. So now this is where the first verse or the first instructive verse comes in. Okay, so this is where Jiva Goswami says that 2.11 is the first instructive verse and 1866 is the last instructive verse, because after 1866 Krishna will say a few words, but he is not giving any instructions. He is just giving a bit of falastuti, like he is giving is telling Arjuna the glories of whoever hears this conversation of ours, what will be their results. And at the end he asks Arjuna that, have you understood what have I said? If not, I am willing to repeat everything that I have said so far. So the last instruction that Krishna gives is in 1866, and if you look at the last verse, the last line, it is Mokshasyami ma suchaha. So the last word of 1866 is suchaha, and the first word of 2.11 is asochan. Again, same word, or referring to the same theme. The first one is that there is nothing worthy of lamenting, and at the end he says there is no need for you to lament at all, because I will protect you. Right? So this is Jiva Goswami. He is a very great scholar, the most erudite scholar for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and he made this comparison that when there is a speaker, a very good speaker, he will start with one point and he will say the entire class, and he will bring it back to the same point at the end of the class. So if the starting point and the ending point is the same, that means that is the most important purpose of that talk. And the purpose of this talk that Krishna is going to give in the entire Bhagavad Gita is to lift us up from our unnatural position of lamenting. We are unnecessarily lamenting in this world, so to deliver us from lamenting, Krishna has spoken this entire Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Now in the starting of the Gita where we are, the question is, why do we even lament? Yes? We lament based on our consciousness level. Okay? The more materialistic our consciousness is, the more we will lament. And the more spiritualized it becomes, the less we lament. Why? It's because we try to see a bigger picture. Small example. When you go to the beach and the children are making a sandcastle, when the waves come and destroy the sandcastle, it's as if when the kids look at this and they are devastated, because they see all my hard work has been washed away by the waves. But are the parents going to be devastated? No, because they understand that this is how the world works. The sandcastle is not going to be able to stand there forever. A big wave, high tide comes and it will go away. So the parents see the bigger picture, right? The parents see the bigger picture, so they will not lament like a child would lament. Because a child, for the child, that sandcastle means everything to him. Yeah? So this is the point, that because the parents have a broader vision of reality, they understand reality better, they are not going to be caught up in lamenting over small ups and downs, right, in the child's life. We have seen this. This is a very practical example. The child, when he learns something new, he's so excited to tell the parents that, oh my God, look, I know this. And the parents are like, okay, I knew, there's nothing that you can tell me that I already don't know. Yeah, there's no new information that you can tell me that I don't know. But still, when the parents, they interact with the child in that sense that, oh my God, tell me more, that builds the confidence in the child. So just like a parent is encouraging the child by coming to his level, even Krishna as Supreme Father, he comes to our level, he comes down, and he doesn't deride us. He is not a God that derides human intelligence. He's a God that respects human intelligence. He comes to our level and explains to us in a way that we can understand what is actually the right thing to do, what is the right way of looking at reality. So this is what Krishna does in the Gita. So as I said, that our lamentation is based on our level of consciousness. So right now Arjuna is on the bodily level of consciousness, and Krishna has tried to bring him out of it, but at a certain point, because now he's taken the role of a teacher, he is now going to speak very harshly, just to jolt Arjuna from his confusion state, to get him to become very attentive. So he says that you are merely speaking words of the wise, but that doesn't make you wise, because true wisdom is in living according to the words. For example, a stage actor can memorize the words of great thinkers and mimic them, but that does not make the actor a very great thinker. Yeah, just like a parrot. If you get a parrot, you can train the parrot to say Hare Krishna, and the parrot will say very nicely. He will even repeat the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But as soon as is a hunter, and the hunter catches a parrot, will the Hare Krishna come out of the mouth? No, it will come out. Whatever parrot says. Quack, quack, quack. There is no Hare Krishna at that moment. But he is saying Hare Krishna. He is saying the highest words. But is it actually having an effect to the bird at the moment of danger? Because the parrot doesn't have the capacity to understand the importance of those words, right? It doesn't. So we are also not wanting to become spiritually well educated, that it doesn't actually have any effect when the hard times fall on us. At that time, will we still be able to internalize the knowledge that Krishna is giving here? Or are we just repeating it outside like a parrot, and then what happens is when something bad happens, you get so disturbed. Like where is your spirituality? Where is the depth of the spirituality? Because spirituality is not meant as just to what do you call it? To rotify, like to cram and to regurgitate it in exam. No, spiritual knowledge, true knowledge, is knowledge that transforms the heart. It transforms the heart. When you internalize that knowledge, then only is it called knowledge, right? Otherwise it's just theoretical, it's not practical, right? So Krishna tells Arjuna that his words are lofty, but his actions are belying them. Arjuna says in the first chapter, oh, I've heard that from spiritual masters that if you kill the elderly people, you're going to get so much sinful activities, right? So he's heard all the processes, but he doesn't understand what is the purpose of all those processes, right? The purpose is to uphold Sanatan Dharma. But if you don't understand what Sanatan Dharma is, then what is the point of you even following the religious principles? If you don't understand the goal of any process that you do, there is no point even in doing it, because it's just like if you're going through life, you're not actually understanding how it is applicable. What is the reason why? Why are we doing what we are doing? That's a very important principle, and that is what spiritual knowledge is all about. The spiritual knowledge is all about distilling everything down to the why. What is the deepest why, right? I was hearing an interview, and there was this one person. He said, do this exercise. Go to your friend, go to a friend, and ask them a very simple question. Why is it that we are friends? They'll be like, okay, first of all, what a question this is. Why are we friends? And they say, no, just tell me why are we friends? And then what they will say is they will be stumped for a bit, and then they will start describing your qualities. Say, okay, but then why do you like these qualities? Why do you like these qualities in me? And then slowly the conversation will move not from describing you, but describing themselves. That, oh, because of this quality, I like it because it attracts me, because I like this, oh, why does it do this, why does it? Is it, oh, at the end it will be just because I feel happy, this is what attracts me. So at the end everything goes down to why, and the last why is because I feel happy, I feel nice around you. Yeah. So everyone is looking for that, and spirituality is all about finding that last why, and then giving a process as to how to achieve that happiness in an everlasting way, because that is what we want. Okay. So Krishna is pointing out that Arjuna is not actually living by the wisdom that he claims to uphold. So as we said, Arjuna is quoting scriptures, and he refers to what he has heard, like he says in 143, iti anushushrama, that I have heard. And he is speaking at length about the long-term social consequences of the war. But his words sound like those of a wise person, but his demeanor does not reflect that wisdom, because he doesn't understand that Bhishma and Dronacharya, they are very pious souls, and so they have lived a life of piety, and if they die, then they are bound to get a very good birth in the next life because of their piety. It's just that because of certain circumstances they were bound to fight on the side of adharma, but they were going to get a better afterlife. So here Arjuna is thinking that I want to give them a better afterlife, but he doesn't realize that the only way to give them a better afterlife is to kill them, is so that they get elevated because of their piety. So he is claiming that he doesn't want to fight because he wants to elevate them or save them, but doesn't realize that the only way to do that is to release them from this current bondage, right? And the reason also is Arjuna is not actually speaking from wisdom, he is speaking from an emotional state. So the ability to subordinate our emotions to reason is one of the hallmarks of maturity, right? So we need to realize that emotions, first of all, if we just rely on emotions, they can be misleading, distracting, and also sometimes degrading. Just focusing on the emotions and not focusing on the wisdom. So therefore we need to use our intelligence to check, observe, and evaluate our emotions, and stopping them when necessary, right? So this is a true sign of learning. And so Arjuna here, actually Prabhupada here writes in the purport that as explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the control of both. This comes later in chapter 13, text number 3. Prabhupada writes this in the purport that real knowledge is knowing what is matter, what is spirit, and the controller of both. When you know all these three things together, then only are you truly learned. Because what are we doing right now? If you look at life right now, everything is based on the bodily consciousness, but the body itself is not ours. Yeah. If it was ours, then it would be for ours to keep forever and ever. But we never had this body previously, it was given to us, and then when we die, we don't take the body with us. That body stays back. But this is the gross body. So, what is it that comes with us? And the subtle body. So the soul and the subtle body, they travel. Now, what is it that links the gross body and the subtle body together? There is a very small thing, and this is the word, this is technical word here. When Krishna says here the word asun, asun here, he says it as being life, or in technical terms it's called the pranavayu, it's called the life air. So it's not just that we need oxygen to breathe to survive. No, this whole framework, this whole combination of airs that keep our subtle body and soul connected with the gross body. And what happens at the time of death is that this pranavayu, this life air, gets detached from the gross body, and then it takes the subtle body and the soul to the next one. So this life air is very much connected to the subtle body, and subtle body, as we said, is made up of mind, intelligence and ego. And in the mind, it is the functioning of thinking, willing, feeling, and also of emotions. That is where emotions are established. And so there is a very big link between air and emotions. That is why if you see, when we are feeling frightened or triggered or angry, what is the one thing that changes? Physically, what changes? Our breath becomes very fast. Yes? So if you want to control your emotions, a very easy way to do it in the beginning stage is to control your breath work. That's why we say, when you're feeling angry or when you're feeling anxious, take a few deep breaths, because there is a very clear link between our breath work and the subtle body and the emotions. So this is a link. This is the technical mechanism that of the entire existence, or between the gross body and subtle body and the soul. Okay. So Krishna is saying that you are lamenting for the gross body. The gross body is not worth lamenting over, because it is never a permanent thing. Yes, it's never a permanent thing. This is like very basic, very animalistic understanding, where they think themselves as being the body. And this goes up, says that, oh, why do I have a connection with my wife? There are 7 billion people in this world. Why is it that I am only connected to one person? Because I have taken that person to become my person. Yes? Before marriage, you didn't know about that person. Even maybe after divorce. Okay, even if there is no divorce, even after life, what happens to that person? You don't know. But just because you have this attachment, this connection, you start to revolve everything around this point of I and mine, based on just the body. Even our own children, yes, they've come from our bodies. They are issuances from our body, but they are not ours. Yeah, they are a independent soul who belongs to who? To Krishna. So just based on our bodily identifications, look at the amount of web that we have been surrounded by, right? And so this is, and when anything happens to any of those things which are connected to our body, we think it's connected to us. And so we get so illusioned and so lamenting when something bad happens. But this is what Krishna is saying, that this is not worth lamenting over. And in the course of the Gita, we will understand when Krishna deep dives, the first thing he does is he redirects the entire conversation from bodily conscious to soul conscious. When he makes this first shift of paradigm, then when you understand that much, then the rest of the Gita will make a lot of sense, because now the foundation has changed. the foundation of understanding reality is changed. What Arjuna thought was reality has led him to becoming so frustrated that he can't see a way forward. So now Krishna gives a shift of paradigm. He tells Arjuna that forget about bodily consciousness. What you are saying makes, although it's correct, but you don't understand the purpose of why it was said, why it was given. Now let me explain to you everything properly. So this is now the starting point of Krishna's instructive verses, and that will go on till 1866. Okay? Any questions? Any comments? Yes, bro.
So, what I had read, based on what I had read, the subtle body is still material.
Yes.
And when we go to the spiritual world,
Yeah.
then we have to go to this particular ocean where we let go of the subtle body, and then our pure spirit soul moves into the spiritual planet, spiritual world. Is that true?
Okay, so that is the path of the Ashtanga yogis. That's what they do. So there are two paths. So there is. So what is the basis of the subtle body? The basis of the subtle body is a false ego, right? So based on the false ego, it contaminates the mind and the intelligence, right? But if through devotional practices you can change that false ego into being real ego, then the senses, which are part of the gross body, your mind and your intelligence are already spiritualized, right? In the spiritual world, it's not that we don't have these three things. We also have senses there, we also have a mind there, and we also have intelligence there, right? The only difference that is there between the material world and the spiritual world is of the concept of ego. Over there, it is real ego. It is, I understand that I am the servant of the Lord and my job is to render service. Over here, it is changed, and so because of that change, everything becomes gross or material or contaminated in that sense. So when you're saying what you're saying is that you lose your subtle body, you don't lose a subtle body, okay, in the sense that you lose the material aspect of it. Yeah, the material aspect of it is moved out because it's not moved, it's not now false ego, it's now real ego. And at that point, because gross and subtle, we keep it here because this is on the material level, but then because it's spiritualized, it's all one. Yeah, the body is spiritual, the soul is spiritual, so there is no difference. Here there is a difference because the soul will always remain spiritual, but because of the influence of the false ego, then we get a material body, and again the material body is into two, gross and subtle. But when we go back, we still have a body, but that body is spiritual because the ego has been transformed from false to real, right? That is why one of the types of liberation that I said is Swarupya. Swarupya means what? Having a form like the Lord. So how can, that means you have a body because the Lord has a body. So you will also have a body that is like the Lord's, which means you will have a spiritual body. Okay? Any other? Right. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.